I remember when, hey, what's up, everybody? This is Sister B, the Bush Bath Queen. And I was just looking at that gate to the apartment complex there. It just reminded me of the culture shock of arriving in New York City, which I remember I did that initially via Philadelphia. Well, I passed through LaGuardia at one point on the way to Grenada, West Indies when I was 17. But and as a matter of fact, the police had to come hunt for me in Grenada, West Indies, because I did not want to return back to the United States. But anyway, as an adult with a child arriving in New York City, I remember coming to Tremont, East Tremont Avenue in the Bronx, and I washed my clothes. Yeah, I left Philadelphia to come wash my clothes in New York City. Wow, I know. So anyway, but eventually when I did move here, I remember, yeah, just the impression of being in the concrete jungle, you know. And it's such a reputation out there of behavior of New Yorkers and stuff like that. But you know what, I realized that New Yorkers were very sweet to me. And I don't know if it was a blessing of me having a child with me most of the time when I needed help, the directions and things like that. But you know, I've after 3 years of not really being that warmed up to being in New York City, I eventually started to love it. But also, I did start to realize at some point in time that people become a certain way for a reason. Not always reasons that we, some of us as outsiders of a culture, may right away understand now or ever. But what I realized was, the more I stayed here in the city, was that they had real good reason to behave the way they were behaving. Because the more I became more and more aware, is so much stuff that was happening in the city, like you really don't know who is who or what is what. So I couldn't really, over time, I couldn't really blame New Yorkers for being so like throat cut, you know, or cutthroat or whatever you want to call it. Because there's just so much happening. And I myself, after putting myself through certain trials and errors, had to learn about boundaries, more about boundaries, which I did not necessarily grow up with. Many boundaries, and had many boundaries violated, you know, as a child on up, and that, and adults around me standing 10 toes down on the violation, you know, because their cyclical, you know, mentality was not balanced as such. But anyway, so yeah, it's good to be kind, you know, but you just like in CPR, they ask you, check the scene. Is the scene safe? You know, you gotta check the boundaries and do self-preservation first. If you don't self-preserve, how you gonna continue on your mission and, you know, spread your light and goodness, you know, to other people, if you don't protect your own self, you know, in your own mission. So yeah, folks, if your boundaries were violated often as a child, I don't care if it was child molestation, if it was child verbal abuse, if it was physical abuse, whatever it is, take a good look at yourself, as I have had to do, and realize that you deserve those boundaries. You deserve self-forgiveness. You deserve self-compassion. You are an entity. Yes, and you are the CEO and the president and everything, all of that, you know, of your life. And Your viewpoint is valid, your mind is valid, your thoughts are valid, your feelings are valid. Honor your thoughts and your feelings and get in touch with that inner child, that inner person, and listen to her. If you were abused as a child and forced to just have a rope thrown over your neck and pulled here and there without consideration or valuing of how you felt and your thoughts, well, come on. Now better than never. Take a good look inside and remember, there's a new boss in town. The one that's always been there, but didn't realize that they had their finger on the trigger. Right? So, remember, I got the power. You got the power. All right? So, this is your life. And you listen to that intuition and that God speak spirit inside of you and go on about your way. Because, you got a path, you got a mission, you got things to do, people to see, things to do, right? So, all right, sending my love out to you. This is Sister B, the Bush Bath Queen, wishing you health, wellness, and longevity. Adios, mi amigo, y mi amiga, y Viva México!